What's up, my brothers and my sisters from another mister? Today we're going to do a comic book review of Spawn, issue number 12, and Spawn's shocking discovery will be revealed. Brought to you by Rated Comics. Let's get to it. We begin this issue with Spawn being drawn to the top of the church again. He ponders how the devil twists people's souls and their words with his secret weapon, the people's weakness to love. That's how Malboja convinced Spawn to, rule his army and take the Hellspawn symbiote, all in the name of love, to see Wanda again. But Spawn doesn't know all the answers either. Who killed him? Why his memories come back in fragments. But eventually, this new Spawn will have all of his answers. Until that day, he can only continue the struggle for some sense of order and meaning to his existence. His memory, it comes in sporadically, but some of those memories are buried deep, while some surface at sporadic moments that come back to his memory. At least he accepts the notion that his life is completely out of control. The fight with Angela, the Angel Warrior, in issue number 9 sent him to purgatory in issue number 10, which was temporarily disconnecting his powers, but when all seemed lost, within a blink, he finds himself back on Earth again. But yet he keeps getting lured back to this church sign. The only obvious connection to why he's going back to that church. And in his mind, it's because of his wedding. The only time he entered a church was when he married Wanda Blake. And that was the beautiful day in Al Simmons' life. Wanda Blake looks stunning. And it was to the point where his attention was so focused on her beauty, he forgot to say I do and just give me the kiss, girl. I'm ready to go on with the happily, lawfully married wife and life. And how could he ever forget little Grandma Blake? Her blindness never slowed that woman down for a second, and she was feisty and ready for a granddaughter. And she pressured Al, why don't you convince Wanda to take your last name? And Al Simmons is like, well, the reason is I married Wanda Blake, not Wanda Simmons, and for her to take on my last name, it'll sound like my sister. Well, what are you gonna do when you have children? And Al was not even thinking about that back in the flashback. And he's like, don't worry, we got it all figured out. Instead of Blake Simmons, we're just gonna shorten it to BS, like Big BS or Little Son BS or whatever. And even though Grandma Blake was not amused by it, well, she had to ride with it and she supported him. And Al recalls a time where he thought that he was sterile and the doctors told him that he wasn't sterile, but they never had any children together. But after his death, his best man, Terry, who was at the wedding, decided to marry Wanda Blake. And Spawn, Al Simmons, feels betrayed, like how could Terry do that to me? He gave her a child, even though it's not Terry's fault. It's just a crappy feeling that Al has to deal with. So back in Washington, D.C., in the office of Jason Wynn, his henchman tells him that their investigation showed that only a handful of personnel even had access to those files, sir. And I believe that was the issue in Spawn, issue number 6 or 7, when he fought Overkill, when he went to the abandoned warehouse and took all those weapons. I think it's coming back full circle now. And the henchman tells him that their data shows that the likely suspect is Terry Fitzgerald. And the reason why is because he's heavily linked with all the facets of high priority governmental projects, as well as constant interaction with the CIA. To this point, he has kept a clean record and has been completely open to security checks. So Terry's like, what's his motive? I don't know. I'm sure you know his best friend was Lieutenant Al Simmons and he married his wife. So you remember Simmons? And Jason Wynn's like, yeah, I remember him. He was a major disappointment. Shame about his death. And that grin's like, yeah, I was behind it. So whatever. So at first glance, so with all that being said, I think Terry Fitzgerald is the reason why all those weapons are going missing and people are probing when it's actually Al Simmons is doing all the probing. So Jason Wynn wants to send a message to Terry Fitzgerald. He asks his agents and his henchmen contact a couple people in New York and have them pay a visit to Terry Fitzgerald and then rattle him up a little bit and see what happens. It's always amusing to see which direction a scuttling weasel will run. Okay, so in this panel right here, Al Simmons disguises himself as a human or dresses up in the trench coat and a hat to visit blind Granny Blake. He says hi, and Granny Blake's like, is this really you? And she's surprised, like, oh my dear Al, this can't be you. I mean, should I get scared? And Al Simmons is like, no, please don't. I won't be long. I just came to tell you that you were right. There is an afterlife. I'm sorry I didn't believe you, and I'm so sorry I didn't heed your warnings. I've been sent to tell you that there's a place in heaven waiting for you when your day comes. The heavens will trumpet your arrival. And Granny's like, why? You're in heaven, so it's all good. And bless you, child. I look forward to joining you and my other friends someday in heaven. And you notice in this panel, Al does not have the guts, or how can he tell that he's not in heaven? But he tells her, Granny, I won't be there with you. Heaven's for the great spirits of the world, those who care for those who overcome great hardships. I created strife, not love. When others held out their hands to him, he walked away. Gods welcome believers, not doubters, and Al Simmons does establish that he didn't believe in God in previous issues. And Granny Blake is being compassionate right now, telling him, Al Simmons, listen to me, boy, you are a hero, you understand? Everyone always told me. I don't know why you're so confused, but God didn't send you down here just to tell me I'm going to heaven. That don't make no sense. It ain't no way Satan's gonna send you down here just to tell me that I'm going to heaven. So listen to me, Al. I love you very much. You made me laugh like no one else. I miss you. And of course, with Wanda, since you're watching over her and where you're at, she's doing well with her new husband and her daughter Cyan. And Spawn or Al ask her, I have to ask you some questions because this is a really cool character moment for Al Simmons. Does Wanda still think of me? Oh my God, says Granny Blake, that woman still loves you and she misses you more than ever. You gave her happiness, Al, and love that no one can take that away from her. Terry's a good guy, but she thinks about you all the time. And Al walks away knowing that he has that comfort and that closure right there. So meanwhile, in New York City's 12th Precinct NYPD Police Department, Sam and Twitch are getting, they can't believe this crap. They're getting suspended or under internal investigation affairs because of what happened to Billy Kincaid in issue number 5. The chief thinks it's them and IA is investigating them to see what happens. And Sam's like, look, even though we didn't do it, but that son of a bitch, Billy Kincaid, deserves to have ice cream scoops and sticks stuck up his ass. And we know they didn't do it, but that's pretty much what's going on in this panel right here. And also, let's not forget, after Sam and Twitch saw Spawn briefly in issue number 5, they realized, well, while we're on probation or internal affairs is on our asses about this, how about we looked into that Cape Crusader who was on that scene, and that gets him on the trail to follow and look into Spawn. And this panel right here, the sun is shining bright and it's Wanda Blake walking her daughter Cyan. So pretty much what's happening in this panel here is it's establishing Cyan doesn't know how to say yes yet. When she says no, there's chances are she means yes. Do you like the day? No. Do you mean yes? Chess. She says chess instead of yes because she can't say yes yet. So when Terry comes in, it's a cute moment that build up here, but what really is the point of this panel right here is to build up the family dynamic with Terry, Wanda, and Cyan. So that way when the CIA agents or the henchmen come over, they tell Terry, beautiful family you have there, Mr. Fitzgerald. It'll sure be a shame to see something happen to him. Real shame. So they deliver the threat per Wynn's request, and he's having a field day with that. So now they sit back and have Terry get followed to see what he does next because they're on to him. Even though Terry's innocent, they're on to him. Now we go into a few panels right here where Al Simmons getting drunk with the bums in the alleyway as a way of male bonding, because that's what we do. Liquor and food brings the boys together. Ahoo! But Gara being drunk and telling stories, not noticing, well, he notices that Al Simmons' symbiote face mask is on the floor, so he puts it on. But as he puts it on and starts telling his joke, the symbiote crushes him and he cannot breathe. Ow! He can't breathe! Help me! That damn mask is trying to suffocate me! So Spawn goes into the rescue, and after he removes the symbiote mask from his head, Spawn tells him, Gar, are you okay? I'm sorry, but I don't have any control over this. You have to believe me. And Gar was like, it's all good. I mean, that mask, I might have almost died, but it beats smelling old Jurassic fart, Bobby's farts, So it's just this little stupid sense of humor, just as a way of bringing levity to him almost dying, So we get to know more about the symbiote, and Spawn says, look, I'm sorry about this, but I have to tell you this is not funny. None of it is. I can't contain that costume's movement when it perceives an enemy. It makes its own choices, like why did it attack you? I don't know. It may consider you a hostile threat, but don't ask. I don't have a clue how to use this thing, and yet for some reason I feel like I need this outfit. So Spawn, feeling guilty about this, he walks away, demanding to be left alone. Then suddenly Al's mind explodes. He believes it's the alcohol, but it's not. Then suddenly the picture becomes clear. He had a thought of a coffin, a reminder of his death. In a way it was, but it was also so much more. The flag is the missing piece of the puzzle, and the skull signifies death. Not the Grim Reaper, as his instincts were telling him, but the face of a killer. He sees the face of death springing forth like an evil weed to choke off things around it. Then suddenly, finally, it all makes sense to him. The flag didn't signify patriotism, it was the killer's employer. The face of death was nothing more than a mask, or specifically makeup. And the final piece, it now seems so damn obvious. It was the church. It wasn't his wedding why he was gravitating towards the church. It's his name. It wasn't a church. It's Chapel. Spawn, Al Simmons, killer. And that's where we end this issue of Spawn, issue number 12. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Link in description if you wish to add this comic book to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Also, don't forget to check out RatedComics.com for some really cool comics and some Rated Comics exclusives as well. Last but not least, this review is sponsored by coffee, so if you'd like to buy your boy a cup of coffee, link in description. But the greatest compliment you guys can do is by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Thank you again for watching. Until next time.